I'm good, thanks. Yes, very good. Dear listeners, you're listening to Blessed Radio. It's the Tuesday night spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. This is Saad here in the studio in London, where it is lovely, bright, sunny, warm, and hot, I would call it. Gregory, where are you, and how's the weather where you are?
It's beautiful here in Brussels, and it's not that hot. It's just nice.
Very good. And dear listeners, the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdrushin. And we have a new topic each week. The topic for tonight is the need for love, happiness, and peace. I think it's a topic you could pick any time really, but we're going to go into tonight. So please do join us. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp on to this UK number, which is 079 444 31366. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 444 31366. And I'm going to begin with, what is the Grail message? The Grail message in the light of truth by Abdrushin is a spiritual knowledge of life. It offers an explanation of the world, a picture of creation on the basis of natural laws. Its lectures contain valuable basic elements as a help in life, for through the knowledge mediated, the reader is again brought closer to life and led back to God. The Grail message deals with important fundamental questions of life by explaining in a clear and logical way the automatic working of the laws of nature, the whole weaving of creation, allowing every process to be recognized and thereby the purpose of our whole life. It is directed at the individual and speaks to the innate experiences of the human being, their strengths and weaknesses. Thus, every reader has the opportunity to discover, through the intuitive perception, if what is stated is the truth. Combining with matter-of-fact reasoning, a complete world picture arises, where there is no separation between the visible world and the great world beyond the five senses, nor any separation between scientific and religious striving for knowledge. I'd like to give you a couple of quotes from the author of the Grail message, Abdrushin. The hearer and reader of my lectures should always work within himself, keenly probing and building bridges from one lecture to the other, as well as out into the great and small world happenings. Only then will he be able to understand the Grail message and find that it gradually shapes itself into one complete whole, without leaving any gaps. Again and again, in all the happenings, the reader will come back to the basic features. He can explain everything without having to change even one single sentence. The word of the Grail message lives, so that it permits only those people who really carry the honest desire in their souls to find abundantly. All else is automatically rejected by it. For the arrogant and those who seek superficially, the message will remain the book with 7 seals. And I'd like to finish with one more quote from the author. I wish to fill the gaps which have so far always remained unanswered in the souls of men, and which never leave any serious thinker in peace, if he earnestly seeks for the truth. So, dear listeners, just to remind you, the topic for tonight is the need for love, happiness, and peace. You can join in the discussion with any questions or comments. The number to contact us here in UK, it is 079 444 313 66. You can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 444 313 66. Again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Gregory, such a, how can I say, broad topic, really. And it's on everybody's mind pretty much in all our times, every day in our lives, really. This topic of love, peace, and happiness. So I think the obvious question is really, well, before I even go to that, Gregory, when you think of love, there's love of God, there's the human love, there's animals, there's so much variety. The love, it covers such a wide-ranging life, let's call it. It spans all of life. So I know it's an obvious question, but let's start with it. What is love?
Well, thanks for that particular question. And were you to ask that question generally, many will first go to a dictionary or go to Google and find out what love is. The way that, where you have a general impression or a general meaning, which has to do with some deep inner feeling, which tends to tenderness. And with that, there's that quality which is then discussed and say, okay, that one is love. Well, that sometimes is an outward expression of love. One of the outward expressions. There are others which really have not been discussed. For by outward expression that of some inner sensing or some inner feeling, which inner feeling tends towards tenderness, there must be something behind it, and indeed there is. For love is so basic, and therefore many a person just use it without deep consideration. That inner sensing or that inner impression, which is a quality which many refer to as love, seems to be binding. That means it tends to attract. It doesn't repel. It tends to attract because it gives. It gives without asking for things in return. Whenever we have that scenario where some is able to give to another without asking anything in return, you give something to another for the benefit. So it has to be something beneficial to the receiver. And the receiver, on the other hand, has to justify that. So we have a scenario where we have love and then justice being of the same coin. And because of that, we will say they are one. But love is not just tenderness. There is, on the other hand, some severity For any person that has received need to make use of it and also pass it on for the benefit of others, just as that person had also received of the goodness, just as that person has also received, in order to pass it on, not to hold it and not let it go. So that is what one will refer to as love.
Thank you, Gregory, for that. I've got a listener who's phoning in, and they want to ask the question over the phone. So I'm just going to put them on now. Just a second. Hello, listener.
Can I go on?
Yes,
Yeah, hello.
you're live on the radio
Yeah.
now. Please introduce yourself,
Okay.
and just
Okay.
you can go ahead.
Sorry, bros. I know if you speak this English too much, so I think you use pidgin. I don't know. I think you use pidgin. I think you use pidgin for the program because that's not the language you don't understand. Can I use pidgin to speak?
Well, it might not be understandable to everybody, so I'm just thinking, just try
Yeah,
to.
I think. Yeah. Okay. Go
Yeah,
on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
just say it, and maybe I will have to interpret. I don't know, but try to keep it simple. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I'll try. Guys, yeah, na me, area. My name Mena, so they hold my mouth since, so now nothing off free talk.
Okay,
So
welcome,
now I
Mena.
won't talk. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Oh, hi, bros, Sad. Thanks.
Yes.
Yeah, I first of all I want to thank you now very well. I don't try. How long will this program be, Seth? How long has the program been on?
But you mean in terms of years, like that?
Yes.
3
How
years
many
now.
years? No,
We've been
start.
online.
3
Yeah.
years.
Yes.
What? Since?
Yes.
Yeah, you try,
Yes.
I try.
Thank
I
you.
did commend on that. And bros Bros Gregory, you did a hail. You did bros that side.
Yes.
Thank you. You did try. Thank you very much. Sad.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Yeah. So the topic, I don't know if you asked question yet, but now better topic because time don't reach, time don't reach. So time don't reach for this, for make we get this happiness, this peace. We don't tell we wait for this peace. So yeah, so
Okay.
we want this peace. Wait, Greg, sorry, bros Greg. So this peace, when it will come? I don't know. Not that question. When this peace? When is this peace gonna come? You don't tell me when they wait for that. Tell me, bros, yeah. If not pidgin, you want to use better. If not English, because that's the language when I understand how to speak. Sorry. So tell us this peace. When it will come about? Cheers. Bye.
Okay. So if I understand you correctly, you're saying when is peace going to come? Is that what you're saying? Am I correct?
I think so.
Yes. Okay. So Gregory, if you'd like to respond to that.
Thanks. The general question is, when will peace finally come in? Well, again, one has to understand what is meant by peace. In our discussion, on the brief discussion one had, the discussion centered around love. That innate inner feeling that tends towards tenderness. That which is of benefit to everyone that it touches. And there was the stress on that love and justice cannot be separated. When we have the scenario where love is balanced with justice, then peace will reign. Because you now have a scenario where there is receiving of what is of benefit to everyone, or what is of benefit to whoever has been touched. And that person or that creature who has been touched, making use of that which is beneficial and passing it on to others. So we have a scenario where we receive, make use of it, and pass it on. There's also the scenario of receiving and in reciprocity, making use of it and pass it back. When we have that, then there is a balance. That maintaining that balance is, strictly speaking, what one may refer to as peace. As long as there is no balance, then there will be no peace. Peace itself involves rigorous activities. Peace itself requires that everyone most people, they must be on the alert so as to be able to receive and to make use of it and then transmit it reciprocally or to others. So the scenario for peace is making use of what has been received for the benefit of all others and also transmitting it. That scenario is what one may refer to as peace. Without that, there will be no peace.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for that answer. It really makes it really clear. No, without justice, you hear that in protest actually. Without justice, there's no peace. Because love we hear so much, but without love, justice in the love, how can you have the peace? Because, in fact, I have a question related to that later on actually about forgiveness, but I won't bring it up just yet. So let me ask Mena, do you have something else?
Thanks, Bros Greg. You say, okay, may I explain now? So this piece when we talk, so nobody won't be, they'll give us free things, light free, what's the name? Woman free, food free. No, that are the kind of peace when I did think about before. This peace, no, like so as we did London, so they'll give us like waiting now, free, waiting expenses. So yeah, free parking, something like that. Free parking for everywhere. Yes, So describe this peace. So you say peace, justice. I mean, they match this peace and justice. How do they relate? Yeah. No, wait. First, I'll go before you explain. This peace and justice relates the opposite. This peace when I want, now the one will say, yeah, I feel like that from 6 to 6. No holla. If I want woman, yeah. If I want food, you get call like that. Yeah, tell me how this peace could be. I don't know if you have to explain again. If you're not,
I would like to.
If you know, you get the question. If you get the question there, first G.
Okay. Maybe the thing is I haven't quite fully understood what you said. So.
Okay, now what I'm saying. Okay, I speak English. So what I've asked is that this piece. I mean, how do we secure it? I mean, is it going to come about just like? I mean, is everything going to be free? I mean,
free.
Peace.
Okay.
I want to be. Yeah, is it going to be a word of relax? Tell us. Plus G.
So Gregory, I'm sure you probably understand better than what I do what he's saying, but I just want the listeners also to be clear about this question. So if I understand him correctly, he's saying how can this peace be brought about? In a way, that's what you said at the beginning, meaning well, Gregory, maybe you can say it better than I can. So, if you'd like to say the question in your own words, Gregory, maybe And then you can
Well,
answer it in response to that then.
Well, the general impression is many have a picture which they themselves have cultivated, a picture of peace where most things come and maybe, in quotes, free. Well, that is part of it because the air which we breathe in is free. Many of the important things in life, they have come free. But there is the need to make use of these things such that it's of benefit first to the individual. When one breathes in air, one then expels what one has utilized in the past, and that is of benefit to the plant. One has to be careful so as to not confuse the peace which is being discussed, the peace which is spiritual peace. For in these discussions, the basis is that of the spirit, not that of the physical body, where things are allowed to come free without someone or without the receiver giving anything in return. That is not what is meant here. Whoever has received has the duty first to make use of it and return something in recompense. The scenario that was painted that, parking free, all right, very soon maybe many will start asking, they want free food, everything free. That does not lead to peace, because what you then have is that there is an imbalance. For in the case of food, many a farmer had to put in so much tirelessly to make the products available, to plant in the farm, and to guard against, rough weather. And now we have the produce. These have to be picked up. All the people in the chain need to be paid for their efforts. It will not be right. In fact, it will create an imbalance for one who sits somewhere, does nothing, and expect this to come to drop on their lap. That will only create a scenario which is of gross imbalance. One can imagine someone who breathes in continuously and doesn't breathe out. Such an imbalance will cause catastrophes. Therefore, we have real love only deals with that which is of benefit, not only to the spirit, but also to the physical body. It has to be comprehensive, not what is one-sided. One-sidedness is not the way forward. One-sidedness never leads to peace. It leads to war, because it means some group of people are doing the work and some others are doing nothing. Such a scenario is not tenable on the long run. It will only create resentment from many people who are always busy striving to make sure that there is balance. For it is balance, or the law of balance, which is based on receiving and also of giving. It is this law that does the maintenance in creation. So if man does not wish to have imbalance, which leads to war, there must be a scenario where man has to strive to ensure that there is always a recompense in receiving and in giving.
Thank you so much, Gregory, for the answer. So, again, you're very clear. Uh, it might sound as if this discussion is, we are looking at something in a quotes in a technical manner, that there has to be a balance, there has to be justice, there has to be all this, like you're doing like a mathematics where in so much kilos of work or weight must be balanced by so many kilos on the other side. It feels like that, and you see that as a symbol of justice as well in the scales that in the court system you see that as a symbol. But here, when we think of love, it's like it sounds a little bit airy fairy, but when you delve into it like you are doing, Gregory, it's clear that you need to see we don't have to see it as numbers or something technical, but the concept involves a balance and if there's no balance, as we know in other things in life with health and so on, there's lack of harmony, there's lots of, let's say, issues, difficulties that come up. And here, maybe people have this wrong idea that love can conquer all, in the sense that it just sweeps away all the other allows you to forget everything that troubles you're going through, stresses and all that, by somehow waving this wand of magic. So thank you, Gregory, to making this concept so clear. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio.
May I add a few things?
Oh yes, of course, please do.
And that all one needs to observe again is there is, in growing up and in everyday living, many a person will consume some food, and of course, what has been consumed is used to generate energy within the person, and at the end, there is the waste elimination. One can imagine a scenario where there is no waste elimination. The sort of congestion that will now reside within the person, within the human being. In a physical sense, that may lead to all sorts of catastrophes. That, at the same time, is not expected or is not desired, because for the person to function efficiently, there must be a balance between what has been taken in and also subsequently what is eliminated. And this balance is not static. It is dynamic. The same thing happens when one does 100 meters. When one is to run 100 meters, or in the process, you take in so much air. And in balance, there is that you are forced to exhale. These things is not mathematical. It is common sense. Common sense which can be verified through personal experience and in one's intuition. Whenever there is no balance between giving or between receiving and giving, whenever we have that being shifted, then there are accumulations, which accumulations may appear in form of illness in the physical body because of the lack of balance. The lack of balance means there is no harmony. And whenever we have this scenario, the illness of the physical body gradually leads to different things which sometimes are difficult to understand because of the complexities. So one should not always reflect that which gratifies us. That means it gives us pleasure. What gives one pleasure may not be of benefit to one. So whenever we have something which is not of benefit, that we cannot classify spiritually as love.
Thank you again, Gregory, for that. Dear listeners, you're listening to Bless Radio. It's the Tuesday night spiritual discussion program from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. The aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail Message by Abrushin. And if you're interested to get a copy of the Grail Message or find out more about it, you can go to this website, which is www.grailmessage.com. That's GRAIL, message MESSAGE.com. The topic we're discussing tonight is the need for love, happiness, and peace. Just repeat that, the need for love, happiness, and peace. And you can join in the discussion with any questions or comments. The number to contact us here in UK, it is 079 444 313 66. And you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. And if you're outside of UK, it is 044 79444 31366. I'll say it again. If you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79444 31366. And again, you can call, text, or use WhatsApp. Right.
Prasad,
Yes, Brother Mani, you got some.
I feel coming.
You'd like to say something?
Yeah.
Go on.
Bros G, thank you for that explanation. In fact, you nailed it in. I received. In fact, you make me reflect. Certain things. So this piece now, we talk about, the one of give and take, balance. Well, the thing strike me well. So I think say, free things. We just go to Tesco, we just collect. You go to Sainsbury, you collect. You go to which one again? Asda, just collect, so some, work day inside. I think everything we just day, we just day. Anyway, thank you, Sha. Wow. So work day. So if I don't work, I don't chop. The thing serious. So peace, it means say work full ground. In fact, the thing they make me shake. Wow. So who would they? So how much? Who they monitor? Who would they monitor this work? Need to work and pay. Now everybody, because everybody they work, who clean. Now everybody they work. So this work when we do so now, who how did they measure the work when we say everybody come up for house, so 9 o'clock. Everybody they leave house. Everybody come back at the same time too. But people they get different wages. How you see that one? That one, peace did that one. Answer that one for me.
If I can come in.
Well, yeah.
Okay, Gregory, I just want to say, thank you for that question, because we talk about these things, Gregory, always that, this is how life works. There has to be a balance and this and this and this. All these things are happening, but how is it happening, and I think you were just about to answer that. So please go ahead.
I think it is very clear when it is written, to whom much is given, much is expected. It's a matter of responsibility. Many a person takes some responsibility, and that great responsibility, for instance, that of a doctor, who has to see patients and has the life of a patient on their hands and spends such long hours to ensure that the patient comes to recovery, it is only fair that such a personality must be granted something in recompense. That means the person must be paid well. In the same sense, those who have lesser responsibilities should be satisfied with what is being paid to them, for they do not take as much responsibility as the other personality. One is not saying there are no scenarios where one does nothing and gets everything, because you may have the scenarios of those who steal money or those who try to cheat. These scenarios are there. But one thing should be clear. Whatever a man or a woman has sown, that is what he or she must reap. The first case is not, or the first instance one may consider, is not that of the physical, of the gross material earth, because that is what many focus their attention on. But that which lasts further, which outclass that which is physical and that which is of spirit, that is where the key is. For we ourselves must be on the alert in our intuition. We ourselves must keep preparing deep within us the sort of scenario or the sort of environment which we will strive to be in, not only in the physical, but when we have departed this earth, that environment which we would like to be. In that environment, there must be balance. There must be harmony. Therefore, the need arises that each personality must be on the alert in their thoughts, not only in their earthly thoughts, but also in their intuition, in their intuitive perception, to be able to weave their paths in such a way such that the returns in future will bring that which will bring peace and also happiness, not to weave our paths such that the returns will bring us sorrow. For it is what we do now through our intellect, through our physical activities, and also through our intuition that gathers the power and the strength and forms the atmosphere or the environment around us, not only the physical environment, but also the ethereal environment and the spiritual environment. That is why we have discussions like this, which is based on the work in the light of truth, the Grail message, which takes everything comprehensively, such that the physical is discussed and the non-physical is discussed, such that we can fashion our paths, or we can fashion our environment here and now. It may take some time, and also our future environment, in such a way that only that which is beautiful, only that which is harmonious will come our way.
you.
Okay, yeah. Go. Bros Sad. Oh yeah, Bros Sad. Yeah, Bros G. Thank you. You see, yeah. This now brain work when I tell you answer this now questions. No, don't hook this time. Now ask you this question. Listen. Sorry, I know they rude. My apologies. But I want to ask you better question now. So, doctor, get more responsibility than farmer. Now, so you talk her. So, like person when they cleaner, yeah, because or beggar get more. No, beggar. No, they work. Yeah, like the lowest paid worker now. Who now? Yeah, cleaner. Now yeah, so you throw rubbish. Now doctor and cleaner, they get different responsibility. Yeah. So you pay one high, doctor you go pay high, big money. You give cleaner toucher. Eh? Now may I ask you this question? Simple. If farmer, beggar, and doctor plant corn, each of them plant corn, which one go do first? Thank you. Answer that one. Which one go?
Maybe if I can repeat that question. So what you're saying is, if a farmer plants a corn,
Yeah.
and if
Yeah.
did you say like a teacher? I don't know.
Yeah, no, the beggar, a beggar. No, sorry, a cleaner. No,
A cleaner.
No, a beggar doesn't.
Okay.
Yeah, a cleaner,
A cleaner.
and the doctor.
Both
If
of
they
them
put
plant
all
corn.
three plant one seed of corn of
Yes.
maize.
And what is the
Yeah,
question?
which one will grow past?
And what is the question
Which one will
about
grow
that?
past? No, which one? I mean, why they're getting paid? Why are they getting paid differently? So whose corn will be grown better? Make Bros G answer that question.
Okay. So
Well, the question is, we have
yes,
a doctor,
because you have
farmer,
there are different responsibilities.
and
So
a beggar.
farmer and no, not beggar. Farmer, cleaner, and the doctor plant the same one seed of maize. Which one is going to do better
right,
based on
The
responsibility?
question, if I'm, or say something, go on.
okay, so I'm going to come in there. So from what I understand, the question is, you're saying, if, let's say four different people of different professions. One is a farmer.
Yes.
One is a
Yes.
I'm going to call it, let's say, cleaner. I was calling
Yes.
him teacher, but let's call it cleaner. One is a doctor, and
Yeah.
let's say make one up a banker, just to make it a variety. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
It's a
Yeah.
banker. So
Yeah,
four
exactly,
different
yeah.
people are going to plant
Yeah.
maize, a seed of
Yes.
maize, and then
Yes.
which of them will grow the best maize? That's what you're saying.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
And but I know, just to be
Based on
clear,
responsibility.
and this has
Go on.
nothing to do with money now. Yes, because
Yeah,
earlier
okay,
you were talking
okay.
about. So you're talking about the responsibility, and
Yes, responsibility. Yeah, exactly. All of them
Okay.
plant maize. Yeah,
so all of them plant maize, and
Yeah.
how will it? Let's say the quality or
Yeah.
what will be the product will be like.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying.
Yeah, how God will take reward doctor past the one when you take care. Yeah. Make Bros G answer that one.
Okay.
Thank you.
So
Bros
Well,
Gregory,
there is
yeah,
always a
Hammer, yeah.
confusion. You are now saying that we have three different people doing the same assignment. Here, we're not talking about a doctor being engaged in medical duties or a banker being engaged in financial duties or a cleaner being engaged in cleaning duties. It now depends on how whoever the sower is faithfully carries out his or the task which needs to be accomplished to enable that which they have planted to grow very well. So it is the quality of service which is granted to that task that counts. So payments, like you are mentioning, to 3 or 4 different people, the banker may plant maize and it may not grow because he doesn't know what to do, what it needs to ensure it grows very well. The same thing may happen to even a cleaner. But wherever you focus on the task ahead and give it the best, then you have fulfilled your task. The returns, like you are mentioning, does not depend on how things are valued here on earth, because the evaluation of things on earth is so very different. The system is so geared towards to ensure that there is no fairness. That is not what is being discussed here, because the scenario we are talking, how can we have peace? It is not the quantity of money that we have that counts, but how we use the little we have. So do not expect that someone who throws a grain of corn in the field and goes away, and then it grows and wants to be paid by others because he has thrown a grain of corn. Whereas we have some others who not only planted that grain of corn, but tended it until it grew properly, and then it yielded so many ears of corn. So it is the effort, which one, or the quality that one has put into it that counts. Spiritual justice is not the same as earthly justice. When you focus on earthly justice or on earthly love, then there will be errors. For earthly love is filled with weaknesses. Earthly love lacks justice. It is filled with selfishness, with vanity, with weakness, and desire for ease. It is also filled with conceits and instincts. That is not love. That will not bring harmony. But that which is of spirit, which transcends the earthly, that is what is being discussed here. So here on earth, one should not be so bothered because one had made some effort, and in one's expectation, rightly or wrongly, one hasn't got the results.
Thank you, Gregory, for that. I want to talk a little bit on a different angle now, just so we can broaden this topic a more, and because it looked like a bit too much earthly in a way, and you have pointed it out that I mean, let me, before I do that, I just point out something. Even today, then news or some radio show I was listening to today, that it's just to talk with regard to people getting paid different wages, and then it's like the value of the people giving their effort and their life to their work is not really valued in this earthly world in a very, let's say, you could call it in a balanced way or in a valued way. So, for example, I just give, this makes no sense unless I give an example. We have these care workers, social care workers, who are basically on minimum wage, and they're giving their love to take care of the whoever it is, elderly, disabled, whatever. They're giving basically. They're not doing anything mechanical. They're doing something, giving love with a human to another human being, and they're getting paid basically less than minimum wage. And then we have on the other side, not to put anybody down, let's say bankers who are doing financial duties, like you said, Gregory, and they're getting millions or thousands, let's say, like multiple ratio of what a care worker is getting. and obviously, if you were to value it in terms of, let's say, love, if we are talking about love here, we can easily tell what is of more loving, what is of more value in terms of love, and yet, when it comes to money, the value of that love is not, let's say, satisfactory or even equivalent, and especially in this material world that we live. Not that we are a spiritual show, so we are not focused on that, but then people thinking, hang on a second, I need to live on this earth, and not trying to be millionaire, but I need to have something that I can, have a reasonable life, and yet the jobs which seems to, let's say, give more love are paid the least, and the ones who are, I don't want to say least love, but who are not really to do with love, are getting the most money. So I don't know, Gregory, if you want to make some statement or say something on that how is the world, weighing these things. Love is not really paid in a sort of financial way, in a fair manner, as to things which are not so much to do with love.
In the first instance, why is it that one needs to equate spiritual love to earthly lust or earthly concepts? Most of the things many do and called love, strictly speaking, when you sift it, is the love of ease, where the human spirit does not need to exert itself. That is what they wish, or they indulge in vanity. Most of these aberrations is not what is desired or what helps the human spirit to ascend, and wanting to be paid so much money. But again, one should not forget that it varies from one country to the other. The basic problem with many is that of indolence. Not only indolence of the spirit, but physical indolence. For they wish to do so very little. At best, many will indulge in gambling or so-called lottery, wishing, and in quotes, praying, if not demanding, that the Almighty should grant them the opportunity to win a lottery, such that they will have so much and there will be no need for any personal struggle. That has been the wish of many, if one needs to be honest with oneself. Whenever the need arises where one needs to struggle in order to gain physical strength, where one needs to struggle or to be persistent or to show patience, whenever one needs to show perseverance, wherever we have the need for selflessness and dedication, many withdraw. But it is these qualities, the qualities of earnest good volition, the qualities of everlasting love and readiness to serve, the qualities of patience and perseverance, the qualities of selflessness and dedication. These are the qualities of the Spirit. What we have here on earth are only temporal. Now, for one who, in quotes, has won so much money and has billions in one's account, for many, they stop any further perseverance. Then you have that the physical body becomes stuffed with so many things and there is no struggle. If that is what many wish for, then it will be best if they go their way quietly and indulge on that which is temporal. But it is very clear that whoever needs to be healthy needs to exercise the physical body. Whoever needs to be healthy in spirit needs to be spiritual, need to listen to his intuition, need to struggle. For there is no one who is so good, who is so perfect, that he or she needs not struggle anymore. Life on earth is supposed to be filled with activities, which activities should transcend not only the physical environment, but also help to build the ethereal or spiritual environment once man has departed from the earth. Again, one should not forget that it is one's own sowing that has brought that particular human soul to a position where he or she now occupies. And the love of the Almighty is such that that which it needs for it to ascend and to redeem the past misdeeds, that opportunity is provided for it in whatever scenario he or she has found himself or herself. If, on the other hand, he doesn't make use of these opportunities, then it is his fault alone, not of others. For what many dream of is the dream of death, where they do not exercise their free will anymore, or they just remain adamant and dormant, and they do not exert themselves either physically or spiritually. That is not what creation is about. Creation is based on movement. Creation is based on movement and balance, on movement and harmony.
Thank you for that, Gregory. What I'm thinking of, everybody, let's say, well, most human beings, the topic tonight is the need for love, happiness, and peace. And if you look at, let's say, start with, let's say, a small, you could unit like a family, and, husband, wife, children, and let's say the parents are looking after the children, teaching them and giving them food and everything, all the taking care of everything for them, and there is a love between the bond between the family, let's say within the family members, and let's say, but somehow it's not always reciprocated. Sometimes it's like one-sided when, let's say, the mother, she's teaching the children, to be good, obey and listen to what they're being told, and then, let's say, they do listen, but then many times they disobey or rebellious or something like that, and maybe this question may not be so perfect in this example, but basically, should this love be like unconditional to in this case of children, I think maybe it doesn't, it's not quite what I wanted to ask, but basically when you're teaching somebody and they listen, let's say, sometime, but many times they don't listen, and it could be actually not only in a family situation, it could be in any relationship actually, you've talked about justice, peace, harmony, and balance. When one side is, let's say, giving all the time and getting, let's say, abuse in return, or just disobedience and all that, should the person who's giving that love, should they just give up at some point and say, look, I don't need to be suffering like this continuously. Maybe I should help someone else. So what would you say there? Should this love should be unconditional, helping someone, or should maybe one say, look, I because there's no balance coming, it doesn't seem to be having any benefit. Should I just withdraw?
The weapons, or many a person wish to refine themselves, so that they can be so refined and be that which their Creator wishes them to be. And one of those features is that of everlasting love and readiness to serve. The human spirit, be it the father or the mother, whoever, the provider, receives power every moment, daily, hourly, yearly, over a long period. The human spirit many times does not do that which is in accordance with the will of the Almighty. Yet, the light still gives. Love, one of the key features, is patience. Love perseveres. One might consider the case of a child who is unwell. And many a parent tries the best they can, from one medication to another, from one hospital to another. Do parents, because of that, because they have spent so much, they have exerted themselves so much, give up on that? Give up on the child and say, I have done my best? Many a times, a person needs to achieve something, and he tries again and again and again. He or she perseveres. Does the person give up because he or she hasn't achieved that and say, oh, I've done my best? Part of the qualities of love is that of perseverance. Perseverance, just as the Creator has persevered, not only sending prophets or sending wise men to show man how he or she needs to live, such that he or she will achieve that which is of benefit spiritually. It is that which is of the spirit which counts. So giving up is not an issue. So if many persons think that children, or being persevering with the children, or persevering with the marriage, or persevering with this or that is no good, let them try the others and see what will then happen. Many a time, you find that in order to achieve something fantastic, you need to try again and again and again. How can someone compose music which is so beautiful if they don't keep on trying? Many wish without making any effort, they will just try for the first time and everything is okay. Whatever endeavor man is involved, there is the need to have patience, to plan, to persevere, and to continue to do that which is in accordance with the will of the Almighty, and before long, success or that which is of value will come one's way. The difficulty is not with the laws of creation. The difficulty has been man's inner attitude, not willing to persevere, not willing to be patient. Once a farmer has gone to the farm to plant his crops, there is the need to be on the alert, else birds will come and pick them off, and nothing will grow. There is the need to be on the alert and persevere, else the rains will come and wash everything out. So here on earth, we are here to learn, not only to learn perseverance, but also to learn patience, to observe all the rules which help in upbuilding.
Thank you, Gregory, for your beautiful answer. Yeah, it really helps to illustrate that, we talk about it in a casual way. Love is eternal, love is, everlasting, and, it's all beautiful words, but the reality of it is, like you said, perseverance and persistence and, patience, not the, let's say, the negative things that come into our head, and let that rule us. Remember that this is a big journey, and some of these obstacles that will happen, or whatever challenges we face, we never give up the hope of, what is our ultimate goal here, which is to love somebody. So yeah, so thank you for that. Dear listeners, you're listening to the Tuesday night spiritual discussion program on Bless Radio, and the aim of the show is to introduce you to the spiritual knowledge in the light of truth, the Grail message by Abdrushin. And the topic we're discussing tonight is the need for love, happiness and peace. You can join in the discussion by calling, texting or using WhatsApp to this UK number. If you're in UK, this is the number, which is 079 444 31366, and if you're outside of UK, it is 0044 79 444 31366. And just to let you know, we are broadcasting also on YouTube live. You just go to Bless Radio, search for Bless Radio 1, then search for Bless Radio 1 live stream. Then you can, that's the live listen to, if you want to listen live. If you want to listen to the recording of the show, about 10 minutes after the show, we finish at 8 o'clock, you can listen to the recording. You just need to type again in YouTube, Bless Radio 1, then type Grail message, and then type the topic of the show. You can do it all in one line. So the topic tonight is the need for love, happiness and peace. And also you can listen live on tunein.com website, and go search for Bless FM. So there are three, and of course the website for the radio itself is blessradio.org. So these are three mediums you can listen through to us. I'm going to make you wait a little bit longer again, because I've got one more question before I let you back again. So Gregory, one of my colleagues has put this question forward, which is why is Jesus referred to as the Prince of Peace? And before I get you to answer that, I want to read you something from Isaiah. It's chapter 9, verse 6, which refers to that. Well, I believe, yes, it is a reference to this, which is, for a child is born to us, a son is given to us. The government will be on his shoulders, and he will be called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. So that is from Isaiah chapter 9, verse 6, and it's in reference to the question, why is Jesus referred to as the Prince of Peace?
Jesus himself said, by their deeds we shall know them. So we need to apply that to the works of Jesus himself to find out if it is true and if it's also consistent. Consistent also with the laws of creation. Only those features will help us understand why he was referred to as the Prince of Peace. By their works also means by what he gave. What he gave, one only needs to take one of it, the Lord's Prayer. In the Lord's Prayer, all that a man needs, all that the creatures in creation need, is contained in that. That brings peace. That brings love. That shows patience. That touches on all the virtues. If that prayer is said with the deepest intuitive perception, that definitely calls for intensive activities of the Spirit, for it shows the receiving and making use of what has been received and passing it on to others. It also shows forgiveness. It gives everything. Therefore, that which he gave, just one of it, which is the prayer, which is referred to as the Lord's Prayer, qualifies him to say he is the Prince of Peace. Though there are others, or there could be another, whoever produces such construct which brings peace to creation, to the human spirit, to all creatures, that is the Prince. It is said, the Prince of Peace, not the King of Peace. The King and the Almighty himself is a different, but his son may be called the Prince. So by his works, he qualifies to be called the Prince of Peace.
Thank you so much for that answer, Gregory. Again, very clear. Now I'm going to bring Mena back in again. Mena, are you there?
Right. Yes, I'm still waiting. Thanks, Esad. Yeah, Bros G. Yeah, I think so. You know, if it, you not get that question when Esad put to you. Say, look, social worker when they give in love to patient, and the doctor when they perform, some treatment, to patients, you go still give them different payments. That one they balanced. Yeah. Social worker they pack shit too. You know what social worker they do now explain as to you. The social worker, if they put all those bags, all those incontinence bag, get one big name in the gear, or to take part, human waste. That one, doctor not going near him, you go pass on. So which one? I mean, which one? Why you think say the balance they say they don't get balance payment? Tell me, show, explain that one. But if you know if it's just little, and then the Prince of Peace when we talk about, so when we did this one time when would they look for peace everywhere? Where the guy did? I will answer that. Yeah, answer that one as well. Thank you.
May I ask which question is which to be answered first?
Anyone. If you answer anyone, just.
The last one is the first one in which one is looking at the activities of a social worker and the activities of a doctor, and said, and trying to say that the measure of what is paid to them in return, in recompense, is not balanced. And one has stressed that if here on earth one is looking for justice and balance, one will never get it. It is said, seek. It is said, seek and you shall find. Go among your neighbors and seek, and you will get nothing. Ask, and you will receive nothing, because their sense of justice, their sense of recompense is different. The laws of the government, or the laws which the society have put forward in governance, most of these laws are not in accordance with the laws of nature. Hence, the warfare that you keep finding. So, if you can, try to justify it. That is not what one is referring to. One is referring here to that which is of the Spirit, where the balance of giving and receiving will have to come to pass. The laws here on earth, they vary from one country to the other. Most of these laws, where they are supposed to support you, they take away from you. So that is not what one is referring to here. And one cannot justify it. In some countries, so-called African countries, where those who do nothing get everything, whereas those who do the bulk of the work get nothing. Those are the sort of laws which have been made in an intellectual manner. So one has to decide. That is not what one is talking here, because one is trying to see the earthly laws or the little, what one may call bylaws, which many have created within their domain. And they use that one to extort so much. One cannot compare that to the laws of creation through which the human spirit, came into existence. So these are two different things. What one is discussing here are the laws or the spiritual laws. The earthly laws are so very different, and you know they vary from one country to the other. And some of these laws, you don't have to commit any offense before you are found guilty. You wouldn't call that one justice. All you have to do is just walk on quietly on your own, and you can be found guilty. Like you said, that is not justice. But these are the earthly laws which vary from one country to the other. The second question has to do with what? I've forgotten now.
Gregory,
Yes?
if I can just pause you there, because I have another caller just called, and Mena, I'm going to ask you to pause as well, because this caller is also online right now, and I would like to put him through right now. So let me just welcome him. Mena, if you can hold on, Mena, because I've got the other person. He's also in the same line, and just hold on for it, Mena. Let him have his. Okay, so because he's just calling now, so I just want to put him through. Hello.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, go ahead, caller. You're now live on the radio, so please go ahead. Just introduce yourself and
Right.
please go ahead. Yes.
Right. Yes, my name is Dr. Tobin Bamalo. I'm calling from Oslo, Norway.
Yes.
I
yes.
would like to add something about the question you asked regarding a child whose mother has tried or parents have tried as much as possible to lead toward the right patterns. Every time he or she disobeys. And then you asked, is love, has it limited? Has it some boundary? I would like to say that we should remember that the concept of love sometimes can be misunderstood. Love is not doing what the other person really wants or hope to get, but what will actually benefit that person. So that even punishing somebody when he cannot otherwise understand, could be an act of love. It's very important to point that out because more often than not, we may believe that love is just pandering to the whims and fancies of the loved person or the beloved. No, sometimes punishment, helping the other person to wake up, even doing things which he may not understand at that point in time, is an act of love. So that is very important to mention. Otherwise, this concept of love may be distorted, and love becomes kind of weakness. Balance, a lot of balance of giving and receiving is very important. And so, for a child who refuses to listen, it's also very important to learn to set boundaries. It's not only gratifying the needs of the child, the wants, but that which will benefit the child is very important because we see in the modern world, it's like whatever the child wants, whatever he or she demands, parents grant them in the name of love, and this is not love. I think that's something I want to point out.
Thank you so much
Again,
for that. Go
very
on, Gregory.
quickly, thanks for that. But one question which has not arisen, how come that we have such a child incarnating in such an environment for such parents? That is a different discussion altogether. So what is being discussed here is only tokens which have been discussed, such that many will find their way, hopefully and prayerfully, to the walk in the light of truth, the Grail message. For it is not by chance that many now have such children who will not listen to them. The key thing here is that each scenario, the participants in that scenario, the father or the parents or the ones who claim to be more matured, should examine themselves objectively to find out if that particular child or set of children do not awaken some things within the parents. Such things could be some weaknesses which they themselves need to throw away, and at the same time also responding to the child in severity, but in measured severity. These are all the comprehensive areas that many a person need to consider. For it to be injustice for the laws of creation to throw a child, to a parent when the parents themselves are so very good. There are checks and balances. But to get to the deeper understanding, one can only discuss the bits the tip of the iceberg and advise or admonish many a listener to go very deeply, not only intellectually, but also spiritually or intuitively, into the walk in the light of truth, the real message.
Thank you, Gregory,
well,
for your response.
because this caller is also online right now, and he's
Sorry, I had some background there. So thank you, Gregory, for your answer. I just want to ask, let me see if Mena is ready now, because thank you. That was a person from Norway, Toby Mbalu. So thank you for your input into the discussion. That was very useful. Now, Mena, you can come back if you would like to say something. Mena?
Yeah, what thing my contribute?
Yes, you want to say something?
Okay, yeah. No. Now, bros, Gregory, he want. I asked him say, the Prince of Peace.
Yes.
So which
Can you
time?
repeat? Can you
We
repeat
don't
that?
We don't wait time out. The
Yeah.
Prince of Peace.
Yes.
This time when you talk about peace and happiness. The
Yeah.
Prince of Peace. We go say I'm all as it could be, because we need the peace now. So, as we talk about peace.
Yes.
Where it go come, or we just go the pray like that. That one they very important, because we need them. Now everybody they look for the peace. Now you see morning, every morning you see the rush, for morning. Not be smart, So, boss, we need. How this thing now? The Prince of Peace. Where you hide out? Church answer.
So, if I understand you correctly, you're saying, how do we get peace through the Prince of Peace?
Yes, exactly.
How do
bros.
we? Because some people.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. We're talking over each other. Sorry for that. So basically, I'm trying to understand you, and you can reply to me if I understand you correctly or not. So, are you saying, I know, let's say many don't want to refer to particular groups too much, but let's say many Christians believe that you have to believe in Jesus and then you will be saved, and that's how you'll get peace and so on.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
So, are you asking, is that how the Prince of Peace will bring peace?
Some even they expect them. Yeah, some they even expect the Prince of Peace to come for this earth,
Yes.
for this time. So may they get the peace. May the guy, they in control, and the person go take in charge of all government. How that one would take happen. Janos. I don't know if Bros Gregory understand which are they ask.
Yeah. So, Gregory, if I can interpret that question, what Mena is saying there. So he's saying, how is the peace going to come through the Prince of Peace? Can you tell us more about it?
Spot
I know in the past we have talked about the millennium, which is supposed to be a kingdom of God on the earth. So maybe you can bring that into it as well, Gregory.
Oh.
Well, it's quite remarkable that there are myriads of varied expectations, and the word peace is looked at from one side, not something comprehensive. And the question which one will want to throw out there is that if consider a scenario where the Prince of Peace is around, or the works of the Prince of Peace is available, how will they recognize the Prince of Peace, or that these are his works? For when Christ was around, his works were very clear, but did they understand him? Did they take him to be Prince of Peace? After all the miracles and what he gave? That did not happen. So, in this scenario, they are also expecting a Prince of Peace, another Prince of Peace. What are the conditions? Are they prepared intuitively to first find the Prince of Peace through his works or her work. It is the preparation, not just an empty longing. For if the human spirit is really earnest with itself, through its activity, it's able to recognize that which brings peace. If, on the other hand, it's not ready, even when it sees peace, it will ignore it. By the activities which have been laid down, we shall recognize him whether truly he is a prince of peace. By the activities or by the works. To recognize that work is the first task. And secondly, then to adjust one's weaving. One's weaving not only in thoughts, but also in spirit and in deeds here on earth. For if the human spirit does not weave that which is in accordance with the laws of creation, then on the long run, it will not be permitted to reincarnate because it has eliminated itself from the sort of peace which will be desired here on earth on the long run. So the onus is on the personality to open itself and recognize the work, whether indeed it brings peace or not. If it has a distorted concept of peace, where there will be force everywhere, and to shoot what any other person that doesn't agree with him or her, then that leads nowhere. Each person must open themselves and examine what they hold very dearly to find out whether it brings peace or not. For peace is a state where we have giving, receiving, this balance. One cannot say there is peace here on earth when we have all the wars. One cannot say there is peace here on earth with all the cheating. If a Prince of Peace comes, would they recognize him? That is a question which every questioner should, or which every listener should take with all the seriousness. But the answer to that is by their works. We will check whether that which has been offered to us will bring peace or not. One should not expect one to come and start taking over government and throwing things. That is a very wrong and distorted concept. The Creator doesn't need to be rushing after human beings and saying, do this or do that, otherwise you'll be punished or you will die. No, human beings, by their activities, will eliminate themselves from a peaceful kingdom, not otherwise.
Thank you, Gregory, for your answer there. Again, you're picking all the pertinent points that, or key points that we really need to focus on, rather than get distracted or diverted on these, side paths which are basically not going to fulfill us or lead us to what is really our true goal. Today we haven't mentioned it because our last week's show was about the creature that was man, and we talked about the goal of man, and the origin of man, and so this week I didn't want to go into that side too much, but by what the answer you've given now, it just reminds us we need to have the focus. Well, really, well, yes, we talk for love, we talk about peace, we talk about happiness, but behind all that, there's some goal, and in the end, it is, let's say, to sense the will of God and sense our purpose in this life, and until we align ourselves in that, on that goal, you know, in accordance with the laws of creation and nature, like you've mentioned, Gregory, we are still gonna, hit our heads against the wall, if I can put it in that expression. Okay, so I'm just going to go back to Mena. Is there anything something new you'd like
No,
to
no,
ask?
no, no. You see, Bros Gregory, he hammered that question well. I get
Yeah,
him.
yeah,
That
yeah.
one, spot on. Yeah,
Okay,
hail him for me. I beg no vex.
okay,
Yeah, hail Bros Gregory for me. Yeah.
okay. All right. So I'm going. Let me think of something new then. I thought you might have something.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
go on,
all
go
right.
on.
Let's see. So I want to say this is something I watched on TV. There's a TV show that in Britain at least that people might be familiar with, where basically uh, adopted children, obviously when they grow up and become adults, they either find out they're adopted then, or they might find out before that, but they still. So what happens is they're still curious about their birth parents, about the story of why they were adopted. I mean, it's not that they don't love their adoptive parents. Of course, they love their adopted parent, but somehow there's some, let's say, this question that they can't quite sort of be satisfied in their life until they just have this curiosity, or I don't quite want to call it curiosity because that sounds a bit shallow. It's not like that. They have something. In fact, the title of the show is called Long Lost Families. So basically, they just know that they have a family from birth, which they're just not in contact with because of their path, their fate led them away. And what happens in this particular show, they have researchers who are basically able to find those lost parents, you can say, and when they find and they meet again, well, not again, but they meet, well, it's again for the parents, but the child probably has no memory, obviously, of that when they were adopted. So when they meet, but then before they meet, they always have this question: did the parent love me? Not they abandoned them, but did they love me, or were they thinking about me? All these years they've not seen me, and so on and so on, and then they meet the parents through that program, and then it's a big shock, a bit surprising. Initially, let's say they're a bit nervous that maybe they won't like them or something. Somehow, what I want to say, Gregory, is there seems to be always an initial, how can I say, apprehension, and always, but it's always like a negative thing. Not negative that somebody hates anybody, but it's not. They don't have the view which comes very clear when the families actually meet. So adopted child, adult child meets the birth parent, and then what they notice is, yes, of course, the parent was always thinking about them, always feeling guilty that they had to give them away to someone else to look after, and couldn't, wondered how they have been, and they missed out on that. And in reality, the love was always there, because they said, "Oh, did you love me?" They just had this question: did they love me? Because what would have happened is, yes, one child was adopted, but then there were other children who came later, and they were, not adopted. Those ones were like part of that family, and then suddenly, this new, they find their new brother and sister, through these long lost families as well. So, what's my question, Gregory? There's a longing, Gregory, for love. That is what is very clear, and inside everybody, and how it manifests, of course, according to each person, is different. And maybe, Gregory, you don't have to sort of. It's not really a question. It's just you can just make a comment or something that love is always there, Gregory. That's what I want to say. No matter which, where you are from, whatever happened to you in your life, you know, let's say you were given away, like in this case, right, to somebody else, and even you, in many cases, by giving them away, the child had even a better life. If that was one of the reason they gave it away, of course, because they couldn't look after that child. If they could look after, they would not have given in the first place. But they had even a better life, and now, you know, they came and now they meet together. So it's like their life is even enriched. So, Gregory, is there anything you'd like to sort of point out in this sort of an expression of love that is like inside us, that, you know, we human beings don't seem to be able to, let's say, grasp it in a, I would call it in a natural way, you know, just there's always seem to be some skepticism, there seem to be always some doubt, you know, not, as I say, not necessarily in an evil way, but there just seems to be, the human being seems to always have some doubt about the, let's say, the reality of the situation. You know, we say God created us, and if God created us, He will, in quotes, look after us. He wouldn't leave us, you know, with no help. And somehow we don't seem to be able to trust in that help. So, Gregory, if there's anything you'd like to sort of bring out from what I've just said there.
Well, again, thanks for some of these questions. But in any scenario of human life, the way one has seen it, it is the motive, above all, the spiritual motive, that is supreme. It is the spiritual motive that counts, not the intellectual one. And a simple example of that is the case of Moses. Moses was adopted by the daughter of the Pharaoh. And through that adoption, Moses then grew up, learned that which he needed to learn, matured in different areas, and was able to set the people, chosen people of Israel, free from the oppression of the Pharaoh. Was Moses not adopted? So it is the spiritual motive that counts. That spiritual motive which transcends what the manifestation or the one-sided view that many human personalities consider. So, if the motive is in accordance with certain tasks which needs to be accomplished, which motive swings harmoniously within the laws of creation, such that it will bring that which is of benefit to many, then it is right. If that motive is not in accordance with the laws of creation, then it is not right. So this longing that is mentioned is only a longing sometimes which is born from wanting to know further about one's earthly parents, for one earthly parents. But the key here is it for the sake of knowing or to be able to reunite with these earthly parents and be of help to them? It varies from one place to the other. So in one case, you might find that longing, once the adopted child has now seen the earthly parents, that longing vanishes and he wants to move on. In another case, it might mean that there are things that it wishes to accomplish for the earthly parents, so be it, and it is good. So it varies from one to another. But the key here is the motive. Above all, the spiritual motive. For if one has been adopted and has been able to accomplish many a thing which it could not have accomplished if it were with the earthly parents, then it is good, because having now experienced goodness from other parts, the adopted one in turn needs to make use of this goodness and spread it around. So it is a challenge for the one who has been adopted. That adoption which was not based on selfish motive, which adoption was not based on vanity, but was based on the simple conception of wanting by those who adopted that personality to grant many a thing to the one who's have been adopted selflessly, not selfishly. Like we keep stressing, in all these things, some virtues need to hold. Selflessness and dedication. So in every scenario, there is a challenge for the receiver who has received so much. Like we keep saying, it's not how much you really have received, but what have you done with that which you have received, such that it brings benefits. The key thing here is benefit. Not just benefit to yourself, but spiritual benefit to many.
Thank you, Gregory, so much for that. I have to say, watching the TV show and listening to what you have said there, that is what happens. The benefit, there's because these are not children now; they're grown-up adults who were adopted, and let's say they may have been, this longing to meet their birth parent. Just it's almost like just want to know what happened to them, and just some curious. So it looks initially on the surface, it looks like a earthly intellectual question, but in reality, the moment they meet, all this, you could say, the spiritual benefit starts manifesting and overtaking everything that could have been born out of intellectualism. So it's like the higher thing, which is always spirituality, always takes to the fore, because at the end of the day, what is the most important thing is love, and that's so when they do is that's what they let's say it was a missing piece of their jigsaw in their life. Not that it is essential, as we know, to live your life. You can, like we give the example of Moses, he grew up and fulfilled his task. What he came, just not in the family originally that he was planned to, let's say, to be born in, where he was born. It was a different family, but he still did what he was meant to do. So it actually, in a way, it's not important about the circumstances, but as you said, the spiritual, the task and the benefit that you're meant to do. That is the main focus, what it should be in life. So thank you for bringing that out. Okay, so we got just a few more minutes here. I just want to ask Mena.
Yes, I did hear you.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, I did.
Yes, would you like to say
Look,
something?
no. Yeah. Just I want you hello now. Now do well. In fact, I enjoyed this show today.
Okay.
You would try. Thanks for bringing this for moderating here. And Bros Gregory, I hail you. Yeah, maybe you send me ticket now. I come visit you for process for the outside. No.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining the show.
And the audience as well. No, the audience, man, thank them as well. Those guys when they listen,
Yes.
yeah, those guys when they listen, now well done. You guys are alive, yeah. Like, okay, bye.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Yes, today is like an unusual show. Two people called in. I mean, you've been with us pretty much the whole show, so thank you for being with us and contributing. And yes, everybody, let's say, has a different input into the show. So, it just makes it, let's say, more. I don't want to use the word exciting, but it's just more interesting for people as well. So, thank you so for your contribution. Now,
Yeah, thank you.
yeah, Gregory, I just thought I would. There's a reading I just thought I might do from the Grail message, if that's okay. And,
Please do.
So, yeah, because it's no point doing a question now. We'll come to the end, really. So, this is the lecture from the Grail message, dear listeners, called The Religion of Love. It's actually a very short lecture, but I think it's very appropriate for the topic tonight. So, the lecture is called The Religion of Love. The religion of love has been misunderstood because the concept of love has in many ways been distorted and misrepresented. For the greater part of true love is severity. What is now called love is anything but love. If all so-called love were relentlessly sifted to the bottom, nothing would remain but selfishness, vanity, weakness, desire for ease, conceit, or instinct. Genuine love will take no account of what gratifies the other, of what is agreeable to him and gives him joy, but will only direct itself towards what will benefit him, regardless of whether it affords him pleasure or not. That is genuine love and service. It is if therefore it is written, love your enemies, it means do that which will benefit them. Punish them if they cannot otherwise be made to understand. That is serving them. But justice must prevail, for love cannot be separated from justice. They are one. Misplaced indulgence would mean fostering the faults of the enemies and thus letting them slide further on the downward path. Would that be love? On the contrary, by acting thus, one would burden oneself with guilt. Through the unexpressed wishes of man alone, the religion of love has deteriorated into a religion of laxity, and also the personality of the bringer of the truth, Christ Jesus, had been dragged down to one of weakness and yielding, characteristics which he never possessed. It was just because of his all-embracing love that he was so harsh and severe among the men of intellect, that he was often overcome with sadness is natural when one considers his high mission and the human material he had to deal with. This sadness had nothing whatever to do with weakness. After eliminating all the distortions and dogmatic restrictions, the religion of love will be a doctrine of the strictest consistency, in which no weakness or illogical indulgence is to be found. So, dear listeners, I've just read out from the Grail message in the Light of Truth by Abdushin, the lecture called The Religion of Love. And thank you for joining us for the show tonight. I really hope it has been enlightening and uplifting. And we really encourage you to pick up the Grail message and read it for yourself, examine it for yourself, and then you will know what we are talking about here, because we are just like Gregory, you always tell us, you're giving only tokens. Well, there's no point eating tokens. It's better to taste the real thing, and that is only, and you can only taste it with your own, mouth and taste it proper like that. Otherwise, what you're hearing is only our sort of taste, which you could call it not, it's not the same what you will taste. So, Gregory, anything you'd like to say to the listeners to say goodbye?
Wishing them well.
Thank you, and the same from me. So God bless everybody. Have a great week. We'll be back again next Tuesday at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. UK time with another topic, which we'll discover it when we come. So please do join us then, and all the best. Take care, everybody.